Greetings and welcome to anyone unfortunate enough to be roaming this little corner of the internet. I am Taluik and I bid to thee a warm welcome. So on tonight's Tal agenda, painting some mostly harmless fungi. Yep, I'm back at it again. So for tonight I have prepared this absolutely wonderful, this fantastic sketch of our this is just a friend. You know, I call him Hafsalam, and tonight we shall be seeing, you know, how far we can get into the uncanny valley, and just see if I can still remember how to paint after so long. Fun stuff. Also, updated Club Studio for the first time in almost 2 years, so yeah, getting used to the new interface. Always an interesting challenge. Right, so I'm gonna do is I am going to create a semblance of order in my chaotic jungle that is my layers. And for once in my life, label them correctly. Now, what I usually like to do in cases like this is I like to start with the palette. Also, welcome to everyone in the chat. I see a Mr. M and I see all play. Thank you all for joining me. At the risk of your own sanity, of course. So, as I said, for these kind of paintings, I usually like to start with like a palette. Kind of gives that more traditional feeling. And just that feeling of mixing paint. That's not how you spell palette. All play, I am doing like awesome today. Thank you for asking. Like it looks great already, you say. We'll see if we can fix that. So let's just start with the basic. I'm kind of thinking a purple hue for this friend of a mushroom. Then we want some darker, kind of more reddish tones. What sanity? You tell me. Sanity never did me no good, so I did away with mine. Let's add some like lighter blue tones. We can use for some highlights later on. Yeah, so wonderful people of the chat, tell me how you are doing on this fine evening and how you all have been during lockdown. Preferably inside, but one can get creative when all one has is the confines of one's own mind. Also, could you do me a massive favor and tell me if the sound balance is sounding correct, like if the music is audible or too loud? Kind of hard for me to tell. Oh yeah, I'll play. I quite often see like your builds. It's quite interesting. I'm not very knowledgeable about World War One era, so it's always interesting to me seeing people who are, and the actual amount of stuff that us plebs don't know about it. Definitely a good way to keep busy with one's hands. Me, I prefer to stick to the second dimension when it comes to art. Not great at sculpting. Righty. Sound is alrighty. Thank you kindly. Right, so what I found to be lacking in my previous, large-scale painting that I did was kind of a lack of understanding of the overall form. So what I'm gonna try and do today is I'm gonna start with the shading layer. Let's just move that up and lock that layer so I don't accidentally draw on it. Let's create a layer for shading. And let's set it to multiply. To multiply the sins and sorrows which we are unleashing upon this, undeserving, maybe, slightly deserving world. Now, let's start and try and get a basic idea of just the shape of this thing in 3 dimensions. So the light is coming from slightly to the front, keeping in mind that convex objects have their shadow on the opposite side of the light source. Concave objects have their shadow on the same side as the light source. This little mushroom hat is convex, so the far side is darker. And I find it helps to imagine this little circle on the top as a kind of sphere on its own. It's kind of merged with the kind of brim shape at the bottom, almost like a lampshade. The shroom guy looks so friendly and happy. I am glad you think so. And slightly concerned. But yeah, the vegetables, they started in a very interesting way. I mean, it started with me trying to rationalize why cats are afraid of cucumbers. And then I found it's actually a very, very fun way to just practice shapes, practice painting, and practice doing faces, which always give me quite a bit of trouble. Alright, let's add some slightly more blue tones to that, just make it more visually interesting. As I'm painting, I'll usually also just change the amount of paint on the brush, so to speak, so that it's less opaque and plays more with the paint that's already on the canvas. Yeah, he looks kinda high. I don't know what he could be high on. I mean, I'm sure supplies are running low in lockdown. Shroom is indeed supposed to be high. Yep, that's kinda the joke. Some of you might know that this is, actually the second attempt at the shroom. The first one, it was a bit more psychedelic. It was, the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland, but he was also the mushroom as well as the thing he was smoking. On what is he high? Probably shrooms. You know, this is an instance of a person who's just so fun and just such a lacquer oak that, he's probably just high on himself. And who can blame him? I mean, we all want to forget sometimes, don't we? But seriously, don't do drugs. Also, yeah, I did update Clip Studio for the first time in like forever. I'm really liking the new brush that, like the kneaded eraser, that's really cool. And also they did wonderful things with just the watercolor brushes. I mean, they're actually usable now. Go figure. Alright, now for a bit more of the face and the... yeah, like high as a kite. Yeah, I knew a guy from when I was in university. Like, he used to say, when people asked him like, "Are you high?" and he'd said, "But Mount Everest is below me." Just thinking of that now. Fun times. Don't do drugs. I mean, medication is a slightly different story, but I mean, preferably one doesn't want to be on anything, you know? One wants to be in one's natural state. And this is not me advocating for what is that thing called again? Homeopathy. No, like people study medicine for a reason. Trust your doctors. Oh, you use Corel Draw. Like, I did download Coral Paint at some point, but like it was a little hard for me to figure out, maybe because I was already just used to Clip Studio. So I never got around to actually learning it, so it's like, eh. And I mean, most people kind of advocate for Photoshop, and I will admit Photoshop is a incredibly powerful tool. Like, it's very, very versatile. But I know of some people who say that because it's not a dedicated drawing program, it does leave something to be desired. It's not optimized for drawing. But then again, I haven't used it for drawing, so I cannot exactly vouch for that. Just taking that from what I've heard. But yeah, I'm actually gonna have to renew my Clip Studio license. I got this with like the first tablet I ever bought. It was a little Wacom Intuos, and it came with the option of some drawing software. Clip Studio was said to be good for just drawing and manga in general. Photoshop draws better than Corel Draw. That's interesting. Yeah, like I've heard really, really good things about Photoshop's painting ability. And I mean, because it's so versatile and powerful software, you can obviously customize it so the interface is better suited to drawing than painting. But, see, I like to lead what, some people might call it lazy. I just say I lead an effort-reducing lifestyle. So ain't nobody got time for that. Ooh, like, drawing with a mouse, it's like, yeah, no. Like, before I got my first tablet, I just didn't do digital. I was like, no thanks, I don't want to draw with a mouse, I'll just stick to actual physical paint and paper. The master medium, of course. And somehow I'm glad I did. I feel that there are certain things that you learn when you start traditionally that you don't necessarily with digital, and there are a lot of skills that carry over quite well. They carry well over from traditional to digital, whereas I'm not sure there are a lot of skills that carry over from digital to traditional, if you catch me drift. And luckily it's only happened once since I started drawing digital, that when I went back to traditional, that when I made a mistake I tried to hit the undo button that wasn't there. That was pretty hilarious. But only happened once. Alright, so that is a basic shading layer done. Not gonna refine it too much at this point, because this is just so that I know the basic shapes have been blocked in and are there, so that I don't get like caught up painting in small things and eventually botch the lighting. So create a new layer we shall underneath, and now let's get to painting the good stuff. Yeah, no, I just like drawing with a mouse. It just feels so unnatural. It's like people do this to themselves willingly? I mean, make no mistake, when working with certain programs like Adobe Illustrator, where you're drawing with a lot of vector points, there I'd actually prefer a mouse. But for like the actual drawing, like getting the feel for it, I'm like, I'd stick to pen and paper if that were the case. What kind of shroom is he? That is a very good question that may or may not have a very good answer. Yep, he's a magic shroom. No, I didn't actually look up any specific mushroom for this. I looked up one for just the head shape, but then the color I'm basing it off of is... There's actually this tree in my yard that every year around autumn it grows these interesting little purple mushrooms. I haven't been able to entirely identify it yet. It's possible, I think it might be a... what was the name again? I think it's called the bleeding mushroom, because apparently it produces this kind of red juice if it's damaged. Hymetcina is the scientific name, I think, but this mushroom isn't based off of anything in particular, really. It's just this kind of your average fantasy mushroom, but these I see the classic red mushroom with white spots just far, far too often. Like, it's been so overused. What's it called again? The Amanita muscaria is the scientific name of the classic fairy tale mushroom. It is actually poisonous. Not deadly so, but it will cause stomach cramps and hallucination. No, it's not a bleeding dragon tree, unfortunately, cool as that would be. So let's try and get some nice textures in here actually. Okay, so that area is going to be a highlight, so we keep that very light blue-grayish color. Almost, what would that color be? Lilac? I need to brush up on my color terminology. Our national shroom is a... I don't know how to pronounce that. Crib? I don't like... I quite like fungi. They interest me. Used to be a point where I considered becoming a mycologist, someone who just studies mushrooms. But mushrooms are just friends. Even though a lot of them are poisonous and could kill you very, very quickly. But they don't mean to. I'm sure they just kill you by accident. Just a happy little accident of nature. Oh, literally everybody in Czech knows it. So, what are the properties of this national mushroom, if I might ask? Let's turn this into a semi-educational stream. Anything, just something a little bit more than abject terror and Lovecraftian horror. Get a little bit more pink and just for some. Keep it visually interesting. Make it seem like make it seem like maybe you're the one on a trip. And maybe this mushroom doesn't even have a face at all. Maybe this mushroom isn't doing anything wrong at all. Brown-headed, and the underside looks like a tiny tube and is edible. Oh, I actually do remember reading up on... So, mushrooms that don't have gills on the underside, but rather these tubes, are part of the genus Boletus, I believe. It's kind of like the two main families of mushrooms. Mr. M is already on a trip to his bed. That was a truly cringy pun, and I appreciate it. Right, let's get those nice shapes in. Because art is all about shapes. Get some slightly more blue tones in it some places. You lost a second figure base. Pray tell, what does this mean? Alright, so I try not to blend too much when painting, because it does give that nice texture. For this, I just want some slightly cleaner transition lines, especially around that highlight that we want to be a bit more blurry. Okay, so this shading is just a bit much. I'm gonna erase some of it. I'm gonna erase a lot of it. And then just blend that a little. Oh, that kind of base. It's interesting because just about as you said that, my stylus also fell. And I had to pick it up as well. What sorcery is this? Yep, it kind of reminds me. I saw this post a while back. It was like the digital artist fitness guide. It was things like, if you misplace your stylus, and that's 10 push-ups. If you draw on the wrong layer, then that's like 10 squats. Like, if you're exporting something as rendering, then you T-pose or plank while it's doing that. Like, kind of like interesting things. Oh, what was the other one? Get distracted by social media was also 10 somethings, probably sit-ups. And maybe I should try doing. Couldn't hurt. I mean, it could physically hurt, but it wouldn't do any lasting damage, I'm sure. Well, not any more damage than the psychological damage inflicted by this very interesting smiling face. I mean, is he not just a treat? Nice, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a copy of the refined sketch, set it to overlay, and just really make it less visible. Just visible so I have still an idea of what it is that I'm doing. Not that I really know what I'm doing on a regular basis anyway, but that's the wrong layer. Whoops. It has already begun. Yep, the shroom do be like that. Yeah, I was kind of just trying to find out just how high can I possibly make this thing look. And I'm sure if you were to ask him, he would say that Mount Everest is below him. To really get that big honker of a nose in. I don't know what I was thinking when I drew that nose. I was just like, I don't know. It's just funny. Sometimes I just draw something that makes me laugh while I draw it, because, you know, artists need to have fun. Artists just wanna have fun. And I mean, come on, I think everyone could do with a bit of just nonsensical humor during these very interesting times. I just zoom out to save and I'm just like, what have I done? He looks to be sooner on Mars than Elon. Yep. This guy's like seen the whole cosmos. Time is but an illusion. Our dear friend Absalom is not constrained by such arbitrary inventions like time, space, and reality. You should try doing funny drawings. Like I said, this started as a joke, but then I realized, hey, drawing weird vegetables with faces is actually really good practice for, painting and learning facial anatomy. And the only reason I kept doing them is because I enjoy it. Like the reggae. Yeah, I should have put on some reggae music for the stream. But unfortunately I don't know a lot of it, but that would just be hilarious. I'm imagining that cover of, what was it? The Bohemian Rhapsody, but it's Jamaican Rhapsody. It's just all about weed. Cause I'm little high, very high. Anywhere the grass grows, no law really matters to me. Hopefully I don't get copyright striked for that. Ha! Oh, YouTube, what have you done? Oh, you drew a screaming sausage. Do show sometime. I would love to see the other connoisseurs of just weird-ass art. Mama just smoked a nub. Oh, well, what was the original song? In the original cover it was what? Ganja never killed a man. Put a blunt against his head. Lit the lighter, now he's dead. Oh, I don't know why weed jokes are so funny. Then again, this is coming from someone who laughs at himself drawing a vegetable with a weird face. I mean, am I really one to judge? Okay, let's see this sausage. Oh, this is glorious. Oh, it's beautiful. You know, sometimes I like to think the world really isn't as complicated as we make it out to be. Sometimes it's okay to just laugh at a screaming sausage. And ain't nobody cares. Yep, and I'm pretty sure that's not how nostrils work, but can I be bothered? No siree. The sausage is like... Please. I beg you to end my miserable existence. I didn't ask to be born. Whereas Hafslam here, he's just happy to be here. He's just like, man, I don't know. Why you gotta make things so complicated? Hey, man, like, take a smoke. Take the edge off, you know? Nah, man, I don't do that. Like he wants to be friends. I mean, like, no, like he doesn't want to make friends. That's like effort. I mean, nobody has time for that. But he doesn't mind being your friend. He understands that everyone needs a friend. Especially that joint that's in mean smoke, you know? That thing must be lonely. Why not help it out? Let's turn off the line art and see how this thing holds up. Okay. Shape is decent-ish. Yeah, now that I look at it, I think the nose was slightly inspired by just typical fantasy images of goblins. They're like huge honker noses. And I mean, noses are pretty prominent on the face, and you'll often see in caricatures that caricature artists usually start by exaggerating the nose. And a lot of cartoons as well, I mean. You get kind of famously the whole like Asterix and Obelix by Uderzo that had these like huge noses, and I mean, if you think about it, if you saw like a realistic person with that kind of nose, you would be terrified. Like, absolutely, but because it's a cartoon, you just don't question it. So what I like to do is I take like literally Minecraft villager sounds. I mean, if you saw a Minecraft villager in real life, that nose would terrify me. I mean, like, just So what I try to do is I take those kind of wacky cartoon proportions and I just make them really realistic with painting. And then suddenly you have what is known as the uncanny valley, which is just... You see something that's realistically shaded and everything, but by all that is holy, that thing should not exist in real life. And your brain starts panicking a little. Like, I'd be kind of flattered if I like for my art to elicit a kind of, fight or flight response in people who see it. I mean, it is said that art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. So, that's what I do. Oh, you know what would make this even more disturbing? Is if it has a bit of flesh tones in it. Like, it looks even more human and that disturbs you even more. What am I doing with my life? I like to think I'm enjoying it. Yep, them big heckin' sniffer. Really busted your snot locker. Let's try and keep the overall shape in mind here. Alright, so the area above the eye and underneath the eyebrow is usually in shadow. Let's try and get that across. Also, I think another thing that people find unsettling about my vegetables is the way in which, like, the eyes are just the same color as the skin, so it's, like, or, what passes for skin for these eldritch abominations. Like they really were just carved out of an actual vegetable and gained sentience. Oh, also, how is the sound balance still? Like, is the music audible? Am I audible? Do people want me to be audible? Or do they want me to just shut up and stop painting vegetables? These are the important questions that we must ask. That beautiful smile he has. Oh yeah, I find another thing that just makes something instantly more disturbing is by individually drawing and rendering the individual teeth. I mean, there's something psychological in humans that tells you that if you can see those individual teeth, then it's probably a sign of danger. Alright, let's just... make sure the overall shape is still conforming. clean up the shading layer just a wee bit. Sound is still good. Oh, you want me to keep talking? I shall do my best. Alright, so the left side of the face is on the side the light is coming from. So it would be lighter than the left side, but still have to keep in mind that the mushroom hood is actually occluding a fair bit of that light, so it's not gonna be as light as some other parts of the body. I love my job. Or at least I would if this was my job. You know, people aren't paying me to draw mushrooms, but hey, maybe people would pay me to stop drawing them. Maybe I can make this my job yet. Yeah, it was like kind of hold the world hostage, but instead of blowing it up, I just keep drawing these abominations. Perfect! Yeah, you know, like I ask protection money from the world. Like, hey, like if you don't pay me, I'm gonna draw more vegetables. I'm gonna upload them all over the interwebs. Gonna PM them to you at like 3 a.m. And the world shall crumble as we know it. Government shall cease to exist, replaced by just a face of a smiling mushroom, keeping people in check. You don't need police. If someone does a crime, you just make them look at this picture for 12 hours. Oh, there's an abomination. Do share. Oh, that's holding up pretty nice, actually. Like, the form and the shape. Let's get that eyelid a little bit darker still. I'm all legs! This is art! Just absolutely, you know, I'm just gonna... I'm gonna show this on stream, this is just... too good. Is that not just the face of art? Like, one of these days I'm doing a vegetable like that. It's just all legs. Thank you for sharing this absolute gift. This absolute treasure. Like, mankind is not worthy of this. Okay, so let's keep in mind that eye is still a sphere, so it would have a bit of highlight. But maybe not there. Let's cover that up. Cover up our mistakes, bury the body, wash away the evidence. No one shall ever know. Leggies! But I am genuinely impressed that it's drawn with a mouse. Like, I would not even try it. I just, like, give up. You have more willpower than I. That is for certain. Yeah, another thing that I find just makes something immediately more disturbing is you just add too many lines to a face. Like no natural face deserves to have this many lines. You don't need them. But something, deep in our ape brains tells us, hey, anything with that many lines has got to be up to something. Don't they trust it? Oh, there's the original on paper. Cool. Oh, this one's got a tail, and where is that tail coming out of? I am very scared. I have questions that I don't know if I want them to be answered. And that is what I love about art. To me, art should make the person seeing it ask questions. And a lot of them. Like, art, to me, like, the best art, in my opinion, is art that's thought-provoking. And, that's just personal preference. Other people look for other things in art. But me, I want to look at something, I want to feel something, I want to wonder why I feel it. And it's, to a degree, what I try to achieve in my own art as well. Like, not so much with like the vegetables. Like, the only question people are asking there is why. But see, ponytail. Tail is in the word. I claim plausible deniability. To paraphrase our dear friend Shakespeare, a tail by any other name would still not come out of there. Yeah, every now and then I just step back a little, look at what I've done, and wonder what I'm doing with my life. Oh, the times, oh, the decadence. Let's just save so our dear friend Bloody Ascom doesn't have anything to say about that. Right, let's try and get some really dark areas in the air for some just more contrast. For in the end, a lot of what art is, you know, contrast. In the end, really, what lines are just representing. Like, when we draw with lines, the lines are just standing in for areas of high contrast. And I find that when thinking about it like that, it actually becomes quite easier to understand how to do something without lines. As in, with not having lines, not without lines, which would just be with lines. It's like, who invented the English language? Could they not have done a better job? Could they have done a worse job if they tried? Who knows? Oh, this music is interesting. Let's get some nice shadows here under that eye socket. Yeah, I'm kind of realizing there's a bit of disparity between the actual size of the face in terms of anatomy. Like, above the eye socket on the left, you see it's kind of bulging outwards, judging by how the light is reacting, but the other side, it's definitely going more in, it's more concave. And you know, usually I think that's a problem. Do I think it's a problem here? Nope. Like, asymmetry just adds to the whole unsettling feeling, I'm sure. Although then again, if a face were perfectly symmetrical, it would actually be disturbing as well. Balance in all things. Usually listen to thematic music. That's not a bad idea. I mean, for here, honestly, I don't know why I chose this music. It was just a free to use on YouTube fantasy thing. And I mean, like, the music's kind of nice. It's calm but still interesting. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what would be thematic for what I'm painting here. I mean, I guess we established that the reggae would probably fit. But I mean, I don't want Bob Marley's lawyers coming after me. And yes, I know, that was stereotypical. Bob Marley was not the only reggae artist. But he's kind of synonymous with it, so... eh. What if it's symmetrical in a way that makes eyes cross? Well, see, the problem with that would be if your eyes are crossing while looking at it, then it would probably look normal. We can't have that. Was it Marilyn Monroe who said, "To be normal is to be boring. I'd rather be absolutely outrageous than absolutely boring," or something along those lines. Okay, so this area of the face would be quite a bit lighter. Not quite as light as the lightest area on the face, but lighter than the surrounding areas for certain. Also, when painting, I do try to keep a kind of continuity in the colors I use. So since purple is a very prominent color here, I'll try and make sure the shades that I use for the deeper parts do have a purple hue to them. Kind of just makes it seem like it's all part of the same drawing. Sorry if it's getting a bit quiet, I'm just figuring out some shade in here. See, how would the area around this face? Just trying to think, what is the structure? Which areas are in front of others? Which areas are blocking out the light source? Which areas are more in the light source? So for that I sometimes like to just zoom out a little. Let's get a slightly bigger view of the picture. Oh, thank you for saying the shading is smooth. Like, and the interesting thing is, for this, I don't want it to be too smooth. Like, I like it to have some kind of texture to it. Kind of like, it's not necessarily as realistic, but it's more interesting to look at. It's more expressive in what it represents. Let's put that shading layer on again and see. Where it could use some refining. Ah, that's not the right layer. Unlock that layer. Why you start laughing at the word doob? Well, it's a pretty interesting word. What does doob even mean? These are all very good questions. Oh, and also, while we are on a semi-educational basis for the stream, the kind of lighting that I used here, where there's a little triangle of light on the one cheek, is known as Rembrandt lighting, because it is a technique that the painter would often use. And it's what happens when light hits from pretty high angle, like from up above and to the side. Thinking what music to put to the video for the diorama. Well, what kind of feeling do you want to evoke? Like, what do you want people to feel while watching it? Is an important question to ask. Oh yeah, like Sabaton in that case. Can't really go wrong. Let's really, really work that lip. What? The Shroomy boy turned to stone? When? When did this happen? I'm sure I would have noticed. Don't tell me he looked at Medusa. Well, see, I'd like to think that if I did my job correctly, then if Medusa looked at him, then she would have either an existential crisis or a fight or flight response. I mean, uh, that is a face the great shrew mother herself couldn't love. And now I probably need to, at some point, draw the great shrew mother. I just keep creating work for myself. If Medusa looked at him, that she would turn to shrooms. Yes. And I don't know, he'd probably smoke her then or something. Because, you know, can't let good shrooms go to waste. Oh yeah, that is a terrifying bottom lip. I done did my job. Let's get a bit deeper deeper shadow along that jawline. Just blend it for a slightly smoother transition. Not too much. Still want to see some brush strokes. Looks huggable. Then I guess I didn't do my job. Whatever my job may be. Let's really accentuate the bags on the eyes. Because again, just adding more lines than is necessary is a surefire way to make sure people look at your drawing and wonder why they feel uncomfortable. Oh no, up close he's terrifying. There we go. That sounds about right. Now, let's see how I can get a satisfactory result from this eye. Seems very flat at this stage. Bring in some slightly warmer tones from the other eye and see if that helps. Let's just keep working on this for now. Ah, somber. Welcome to the madness. I hope you brought sanity because it appears to be in short supply. How you doing, man? Also, all play. Yeah, like I noticed a lot of your art is centered around like war and battles. And I mean, I find it interesting how everyone has, their own interests, things that appeal to them. Because things that are just fun to draw. Because in the end, art is about storytelling. Every artist has a story they want to tell, whether they know it or not. Or every successful artist, in my opinion, at least. Maybe that's why I'm not successful yet. Whoops! If this accursed eye would just please work with me. That kinda looks okay. But what about my... Oh, that uni. Well, yes, that is definitely a story I'm trying to tell, but you see what the problem here is that I am drawing vile abominations and crimes against humanity instead of drawing my comic. So, yeah, maybe when I someday draw my comic, I'll be successful. But yeah, I have been meaning to get back to that actually. I actually worked some more on another comic page for what was it? Oh yeah, for T amongst other things. I did start. I worked some more on that, and I want to do some more work on that specifically, so that I can eventually transition and do Illustrious entirely digital. Imagine your future interview and him asking how you started. Hey Wick, how did you start? Me pulled out a picture of this mushroom. Oh no. Probably get persecuted on the spot. Like my future stuff. Oh, I forgot. Those were dark times, man. Ah, like, isn't it truly wretched? It's just save so Mr. Escom does not screw us over. Alright, so from what I can see here, I think like this side of the face could use some more shading. So I'm gonna... The fact that the face currently looks like a mask scares me dearly. Why, thank you! I do try, you know, to instill like mortal dread for all the produce you could find in a supermarket with my art. And for this one, I just really decided to just go all out with sculpting the face. Just have so much fun blocking in shapes. Feel like your existence is under siege. Good. I mean, yeah, like, as you might actually remember, this is the second attempt at like the mushroom. Like the previous one, like I just wasn't feeling it. Wasn't feeling, you know, like it inspired enough existential dread and just panic. What? Like, what do you mean how fast I work? I'm like, I've been doing this for an hour and a half now. This is 90 minutes of work. I should have been able to do this in like half the time. I need to up my game. But I appreciate you thinking that I work fast. Oh yeah, let's really accentuate that Adam's apple. Just add too many damn lines. Indeed, it takes time to master the art of soul crushing. What am I doing with my life? I like to think I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean? Wait until I shifted to maximum overdrive. What would that even entail? Would I just be painting really, really quickly, or would I somehow find out how to just evoke pure angst and dread with only three brush strokes? Would I be able to conjure up a Lovecraftian horror with just a motion of the brush? Who knows? It's... Alright, so this area of the chest is gonna be pretty much in the light. So let's give it appropriate lighting. Yes. Just yes. You gotta love it when, like, you ask a question, someone just answers yes, and like that doesn't make sense. Usually when I finish with the face it does go faster actually, because for the body I don't need to put as much detail in. It's easy to just suggest shapes. Whereas with the face you really want to take your time. Make sure all the unnecessary details are clearly visible. It takes you to think about the people in the war. Sabaton sings about to Christ, imagine what the drawing does to you. Uh, I kind of apologize if it does make you cry. I should hope it doesn't actually. Fried butter was the first war crime, now these. I remember fried butter very fondly. You know, maybe that should be the next thing I paint. Thanks, Somber. You are a limitless source of inspiration. How do you fry butter? Like, easy. You put it on a stick and you stick it in a pot of boiling oil, I guess. Bam. Fried butter. Well, I didn't ask if you remembered it fondly. Like, I'd like to think you could weaponize fried butter. Oh, like the limitless potential. Also, wow, this mushroom has some really chiseled abs. Like, I cannot let this mushroom have like a more defined body than me. Oh, you looked up fried butter? Why would you do that? Hey, nobody needs to know how someone actually fries butter. Please don't commit gas sniff. Whatever that means. Yeah, Tom, I don't think you have to try too hard to weaponize it. It kind of weaponizes itself through just existing, I should think. Alright, so let's try and paint the body with like less brush strokes. Keep them large, keep them free. No need to go into too much detail. If Akra can make God ascending tea, then Summer can do the same with fried butter. Yep, I'm sure he could. I mean, if you make a gun that shoots it, then like I'm sure it'll just give like life-ending cholesterol to anything it comes into contact with. So, like the Geneva Convention would probably ban it as soon as they find out about it. So better keep it secret, keep it safe. Otherwise, the UN will come and spoil your fun. Shroom Boy exists. World commits 2020. Okay, that might be giving my art a bit too much credit. I don't think it could have caused the absolute shitstorm that 2020 has been. Or then again, maybe it could have. You know, maybe it's a little butterfly effect. Like one deviant draws smiling vegetables, and then someone decides, hey, I'm gonna start World War III. Which then uproots a bunch of bats and sends them flying around. I will call the fried butter gun the artery gun. The gun magically plugs up your arteries when it hits you. Yes. A truly unstoppable force. 2020 is a year not even Akrai tea can produce. I like to think it's a year that even his tea can't cure. Also, what even is this neck? Like, how does anatomy? No, we don't want any third world wars. Nope. Oh, well, I will see you soon, Mr. M. Thank you for dropping by. Yeah, no, like, the whole World War thing, it's like, there aren't any winners in war, really. It's something I feel that should definitely be remembered for the harm it caused, so it doesn't happen again. But not something I feel should be romanticized. Also, why did I get this much larger pecs than myself? Uh, oh, woe is me and my skinny physique. Sorry, I went somewhere for a while there. I guess you need to stop projecting your insecurities. This is my stream, my art. I can project all the insecurities I want. And if you don't like it, then you can start projecting your own insecurities. Alright, so now on to the arms. Thankfully I didn't make them any bigger than mine. Let's just save again. Oh, it truly is wretched, is it not? I feel a strange mixture of pride and genuine terror. No, I don't want your heart to blow up. Heart's kind of important. Let's move the palette slightly down so it's just easier to access. Boy, I already do my art. Excellent. Oh, no wonder you draw so much anime. So much makes sense now. JK. My heart committed Nagasaki. Oh, welcome, Andrea. Glad you could make it. I'm glad you like the fact that it's horrifying. As my punishment for creating it, I have to look at it for as long as it is being drawn. Wait, who's the anime boy? Pretty sure you have that title, Somber. I mean, I think if I were just to scroll through your DeviantArt gallery, most of the titles include the word anime in it. Come on. Am I wrong? anytime someone comes up, we should greet them with, "Hey, welcome the bird up." What does that even mean? Let's kind of try and again paint this with just fewer brush strokes. This is the deformation of character. I guess. Okay, so let's keep in mind that the entire arm is somewhat in shadow because it's occluded by the body. Yes. Alright, I'm not gonna pay too much attention to like how actual lighting works. The idea here is just for it to be horrifying, not to be accurate. Although that would be a nice bonus, wouldn't it? The mushroom looks just like a classmate of yours. I'm sorry, I guess, to whoever's like this I accidentally immortalized in this infelicitous fungus. I'm sorry, but if I actually met someone who looked like this, I would have like immediate cardiac arrest on the spot. I don't want to meet my own creations in real life. And I actually had the idea of getting someone to make 3D models of them at some point. You know, bring the terror into the third dimension. I think that would just be funny as all hell. Also, wow, we are reaching peak viewers here. We are at 3 viewers. Wow. I guess welcome to whoever is brave or foolish enough to be lurking in this corner of the internet at this time of night. He's a nice guy with a weed smelling fungus. I mean, it's perfect when you consider what I'm drawing. Oh boy. And yes, it does give a whole new meaning to meet your maker. Welcome back, all play. I do not believe you missed much other than just the formation of additional horrifying existential dread. Most of which was mine, upon seeing what I hath created. Curious mixture of pride and mortal terror. What have you come back to? Art! Yes, and dread. Just a little bit of dread. You know, a little bit of dread in the morning keeps you going. So I'm gonna have to finish this up soon, because I am planning on like stopping in about half an hour. Like, let's see if I can finish this in half an hour. So, are there any suggestions? You know, how can I make this better? Or if the actual idea is to make it worse, how can we make it worse? Gives a new meaning to descend into darkness. It sure does. But I mean, it doesn't have to be darkness. I mean, depending on where, like, the trip takes you, it could be a place with lots of flashing lights. Hey, it's Tech. Welcome. Didn't know if you'd be able to make it at this time. Like you didn't miss too much, Tech. It's just we're really just getting started. like lovingly rendering the worst parts of it. Dread is what forced you out of bed every morning. I mean, like, dread is a really good driving force, I should say. And yes, it is. Ooh, crank up the contrast. That's not a bad idea. Okay, let's actually check what happens if we do that. Correction layer, contrast. Let's see. If we reduce the brightness, yeah, that's actually pretty nice. Oh, he needs the slug nomming at him. Every mushroom has slugs. That's not a bad idea. Probably just have a little, like, bite out of his hat. And the slug will definitely be having those eyes that you put on the Borb. that amazing bird character of yours who just steals the show all the time. It could be an alt version of the painting. Also, wow, we're at 6 viewers now? Damn, I'm getting popular. Welcome to everyone else who has joined, if I haven't seen them yet. Thank you for enduring this, I guess? Your contribution to the Downfall Society is greatly appreciated. Something about that arm don't sit right with me. Having tiny pupils would help there. Actually, the design does have eyes in it. Let me just... Like, if I up the contrast, it'll take a little bit for the stream to catch up, but you'll see he does indeed have eyes when the stream does catch up. But I'm wondering whether to actually keep them in. Oh, it's Galahad! Nothing could have prepared me for what appeared on my screen when I joined, but thank you. I mean, maybe the thumbnail could have? I mean, the thumbnail was just the mushroom. Sorry, you walked right into that one. What do you mean the Mushroom Kingdom went downhill? I say it went uphill all the way. This is a huge improvement for fungus kind. Clean up those lines a bit. So tell me, how has everyone been keeping busy during lockdown? I mean, one gets creative when all one has is the confines of one's own mind. I mean, look at me. I'm drawing vegetables. And I've never felt better. And don't you listen to what my psychiatrist says. She lacks vision. You could say it went up really high, especially with that weed. Oh, yes. Huffslim, as I like to call him, is high as a kite. Some might argue that in fact Mount Everest is below him. Alright, time to add some more contrast to the nose so that's a bit more defined. I really need to actually show these to my lecturers at some point. Like, I genuinely can't decide whether they will, like, expel me on the spot or actually love them. Never know with art lecturers. Yep, Elon Musk lost a race to Mars compared to this guy. Oh, yes. Our dear friend Hupslam is not bound by such trivial inventions such as time, space, or reality. Every time you see hallucinogenic shroom in the wood, you'll think of this guy. I would be honored. Some people have told me that... like, they told me that they can't help, but when they walk through, like, the fruit and veg aisle in the supermarket, they can't help but start to see smiling faces in them. And when I heard that, I'm kind of like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to actually scar anyone for life. Oh yeah, Thanos has much less power than him. I'm like, sure, Thanos has like the Infinity Gauntlet, but this guy, he has something much better. He has like the Infinity, what do you call blunt? That it can smoke on that thing for a week straight. It never gets any shorter. Truly, power that was not meant for the mortal world. Should I be proud though, Tech? I mean, I'm sure the UN considers this a war crime. I'm sure some people would ask me whether I have no shame. And to that I say, I'll feel ashamed when this stops being funny. Oh yeah, he'll go to infinity and beyond, alright. You know, I didn't quite see my life going this direction. I had a bright future once. I think. Might have just been hallucinating. I need to put when he's smoking his tea. Well, hey, who says he isn't smoking Akurai's tea? I mean, like Akurai's tea is another joke that just got completely out of hand. Like, it started as such a minor, like it started as a once-off joke. It was never meant to become anything more, but it just became so funny that I was like, hey, that's pretty good. Also, it has been pointed out to me that maybe I should have used reggae music as background music for the stream. And that would indeed have been funny, but I don't want the ghost of Bob Marley appearing to me as a shroom. Like, and copyright claiming my video. Oh, it definitely is a biological weapon. It's been a while since I've actually drawn this thing, and now that I'm just faced again with how delicately I actually drew his hand and his fingers, I'm actually mildly impressed. Considering I didn't use a reference for this. Yeah, don't do that, kids. Always use reference. Otherwise your art will look like mine. And the Geneva Convention will come after you. It's actually pretty catchy music. And the music is, in fact, linked in the description of the stream below, should anyone be curious. Yep, I guess it is a mark of success, but I mean, you can draw hands really well and you can just suck at overall anatomy. I mean, it's very interesting. I actually found out, like, in one of my classes recently that... or when someone online asks you for loot of your characters. Yes. That is the true mark of success and fame as an artist. But yeah, I found it interesting recently. I found out that apparently the old masters, like, they actually had guilds. And the masters would paint the things like the faces and the hands, and they'd let their students draw like the bodies, the clothes, and the like ornamentations in the backgrounds. I just found that really interesting. That oh yes, this is a Vermeer painting. Well, actually, not as much as you'd think. Hands without reference is indeed ascension to godhood, or, you know, just selling your soul to some unscrupulous, like, entity, what appears to you after you drew a pentagram on your floor with a crayon, 4 a.m., because you couldn't sleep. But I mean, like, saying I drew this without the reference is technically not true. I mean, it's kind of looking at my own hands, but it was drawn quite a bit from intuition, which was after, like, late last year, I did do, like, a specific study on hands, just figuring out what the proportions are and how to kind of reverse engineer them for whatever I'm doing. Also, yeah, it does make sense considering the sheer amount of paintings they did, that they, you know, just let their students do some of the work. Yeah, with a virgin sacrifice. There we go. Stupid me, how could I forget that important step? No wonder my demon was of inferior quality. Well, maybe if my soul grows back, I'll try and summon him again. Oh yeah, like, oh, but I've seen you saying your parents think references Tracy. I mean, it just so isn't. I mean, how are you supposed to know how to draw something without knowing what it looks like? I mean, there are some counter arguments to be made. I remember, I think it was Paul Gauguin, how you pronounce that name. He said that an artist should always draw from memory. That way, what he draws is what he remembers, and it's unique to him specifically. And I will agree that that is true for if you want something that is very specific but not realistic. If you want to go realistic, then reference all the way. Oh yeah, like hands at a weird perspective, like the front view and open hand. Like, no, no, just don't. I'd rather manipulate the pose so that the hands are behind the back. I mean, like, the hands are just the most complicated part because there are so many different pieces that are all pointing in different directions. Like, they interact with the light, like, they cast shadow on each other. It's just like, ugh. Why couldn't humans just have had mitten hands? It would have made the lives of so many poor animators so much easier. And I'm really sorry to hear that your parents don't really like what you do all play. But thankfully, see, that's just two people's opinions. Art is supposed to mean something different to whoever sees it. Okay, getting a little short on time here. I might have to finish this tomorrow. But I mean, that's actually not bad progress. Needs refining, of course. But don't we all? Yeah, I can agree with that, Somber, you know. Refs are a good way of solidifying short-term details. And, like, the way I found I work with hands is just learning, like, the basic anatomy of it. Things like the thumb comes out of the hand halfway up the base of the hand, and the index finger is the same height as the base of the nail on the ring, the middle finger. Like, when you start learning the relationship of things to each other, then you can start, like, deconstructing it for yourself by using certain other reference points that you have set. I mean, honestly, I'm a little jealous of people who can, like, look at a reference image and, like, copy it directly, because that's something I struggle with. So yeah, like, people who don't use refs, you just have more vivid imaginations. Yeah, they can see the image more clearly in their head. Like, people with, say, photographic memory, I imagine, must have a really easy time. But alas, for us mere mortals, we must make do with looking at reference. Sounds like witchcraft, alright. We found a witch, my lord. May we burn her? Yeah, that's to follow the energy of the hand. Sometimes I'll also just draw the entire hand as one shape, try and figure out what I want with it. And then try and figure out the fingers from there. Like, see where the fingers fit into that overall shape. Okay, so now comes a bit of the hard part, where I need to try and figure out how the shadow that the cap casts interacts with the face. No, you must not, Deus Vult. Or load any shotguns with religious intent. Preferably. face needs so much more definition. Shadows need to be deeper in places. It still feels a little bit shallow, flat. Oh, what am I doing with my life? Well, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to draw the line here for tonight. It is a weeknight after all. So, thank you so much to everyone who joined. At the risk of your own sanity, of course. Thank you, you've all been amazing. It's been really fun streaming again. It's like getting back into the whole accursed vegetable thing. Practicing faces and whatnot. Painting. So thank you all for joining, and I wish you all a very pleasant night. Minus the inevitable nightmares that this thing will bring, but that's not the end of the world. So I shall see you all soon, and remember, thou art welcome anytime.